Hello everyone, welcome to our second H.U.U versus video. This is a match we've been looking forward to making for a pretty long while, so without further ado, let's get started. Born a human in Earth year 2211, Jonathan Lynx is one of the most brilliant scientific minds in the Earth's history, being compared to only the brightest of the time. Though, with all the intelligent minds on the planet, no one seemed to have an answer for the global warming crisis, which had become the greatest biological threat to humanity. That is, until Jonathan developed a solution. After being a volcanic engineer, or scientist intent on using volcanoes as a power source, for nearly 5 years, Jonathan concluded that by harnessing volcanic energy instead of burning fossil fuels, we humans can bring an end to the global warming crisis and save the Earth. He was right, of course, and he had even gone as far as designing his own volcanic power plant. Years later, upon his first power plant's completion, Jonathan, along with his brother and partner, Davis Lynx, was caught in a lab explosion, which nearly killed the two brothers. Jonathan carried his brother to safety, though they both collapsed immediately after. Later, it was revealed that the Lynx brothers had both developed a unique mutation, giving them incredible powers. Jonathan, being the optimist he is, ran to Davis with the great news. He hoped they could use their powers for scientific research. However, unlike Jonathan, Davis looked upon his new mutated face with disgust and shame. He ran away, days before Jonathan had even awoke. He looked at Davis's charts. Davis was unstable and very dangerous. So, Jonathan made it his life's purpose to find and hopefully persuade his brother. Then, he realized that there could be others like Davis, maybe even worse than Davis. From that moment on, Jonathan, now known as Dr. Magma, was a superhero and the leader of H.U.U.
Not much is known about who Carvington was before he became an agent. Though it is clear that the moment he enlisted in the Helper Academy, he was destined to become a great leader. Mere months after enlisting, Ryan Carvington was promoted to Supreme Helper Commander, second only to General Psy. Though we are not yet aware of the exact time, it is believed that about 2 years after his promotion to commander, Carvington was introduced to the budding technologist, Zach Bolt. Zach's brilliant technological mind coupled perfectly with Carvington's own mind, though his true strength lies in strategic planning. Over the years, Zach and Carvington became the best of friends. Zach even made improvements to Carvington's armor and weaponry. With his new armor, Carvington saved billions of lives and lived amongst the most highly respected heroes in the galaxy. It wasn't until Earth year 2237 when Carvington's true skill would be tested. The Helpers received a distress signal from the Exmosians, one of the toughest species in the galaxy. For an Exmosian to need help, the situation must be dire. So, the Helpers dispatched Carvington and his squad to bring an end to the conflict. Carvington, realizing not even he could defeat Comet, ordered a retreat, though his men, among most Exmosians, had already perished. Fortunately, Carvington's helper ship could not outrun Comet. Only a teleporter could. He could only bring back one survivor. Carvington deserted Oxus with Osmar III in his arms. He then found Osmar III a new home on Earth and continued to save the galaxy from invaders.
While in his superhuman form, Dr. Magma is one of the strongest and most physically durable life forms in existence. Yet, unlike his brother, Dr. Magma did not let his strength become his only asset. In fact, Dr. Magma is known for his conservative fighting style, only disregarding this style when the situation calls for it. Rather than relying on his overwhelming size and strength, Dr. Magma typically, but not exclusively, relies on his intelligence and cunning to either avoid confrontation or end it. When putting Dr. Magma's physicality on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being the average human, and 100 being the average Oxmosian. Dr. Magma's strength, physical durability, and intelligence would easily be in the thousands, perhaps even more. Yet, Dr. Magma is far from invincible. In rare cases, Dr. Magma has been defeated either by being outmaneuvered or using extreme cold, seeing that the only thing keeping his body alive is the heat it gives off. It would take a massive amount of ice to do this, however, and because he is fighting Carvington on equal ground, this flaw cannot be exploited.
In terms of his physicality, Carvington is certainly not on a superhuman level. Though, Commander Carvington's physique does not merely compare to that of any humans, but rather Carvington exceeds nearly all human capabilities. Unlike many of our characters, Carvington earned his build and spent years training himself. As a helper agent, Carvington put his body to test, facing off against several large beasts, Enernoids, even some Oxmosians. Amazingly, Carvington lived on to tell the tale, a feat only a few have ever accomplished. While his strength is impressive, his endurance is what truly sets him apart from his adversaries. Not only has Carvington withstood and even outlasted the full force of an Enernoid army, but even more outstanding, Carvington is the first person in history to withstand Comet's assault. In Carvington's words, fighting Comet was like running a marathon. Boy, I was tired at the end, but that never got to me, ever in form one day.
In terms of physicalities, Dr. Magma not only outmatches Carvington, but outclasses him entirely. As physically durable as Carvington is, he simply can't compare to a juggernaut like Dr. Magma. We declare Dr. Magma the physical winner. Dr. Magma, without a doubt, is the strongest member of H.U.U. Yes, physically Dr. Magma is unrivaled by most. Yet, in terms of his powers, the only member who could match him is Osmar, though that is debatable. Dr. Magma, in essence, is like a small star. Heat radiates from his body, burning roughly 1/3 as hot as the sun. He can shoot fireballs, melt rock, and, at his most extreme, he can even combust the air around him, creating a vacuum for almost a minute. Due to his extreme temperature, his breath consists of smoke and ash. Beyond that, Dr. Magma can shoot lightning from his eyes, so strong that it can carve through stone. Though, he does possess more practical powers, such as size manipulation and self-regulated heating. Furthermore, due to his natural power, Dr. Magma chose not to specialize in martial arts, but rather, he chose to simply learn how to counter martial arts strikes, for the sake of knowledge and nothing more.
To the contrary of Dr. Magma, Commander Carvington had no abnormalities or powers. Though, as Carvington once said, powers don't make you a hero. Your actions do. These words certainly held true throughout Carvington's career. He had no powers, no special skills, and no abnormalities. What he had was training and experience. What he had was discipline. Imagine the obstacles, the disadvantages Carvington had to overcome without the aid of powers. Unlike his many peers, Carvington trained himself and challenged the idea of what a superhero truly is in mind and body. Though lacking in powers, Carvington did possess a high level of skill as an engineer, being compared to even the likes of Zach Volt, and, perhaps even more impressively, was one of the most brilliant strategic minds in the universe. If anyone could exploit a weakness, it's Carvington. Aside from that, Carvington was an absolute master of all martial arts style, and was a fine marksman. In short, if he goes down, it won't come easy.
This category is a bit harder to call. Dr. Magma with his magnitude and raw power, or Carvington with his precision and experience. However, at the end of the day, the only definitive edge can be awarded to Dr. Magma. Yes, Carvington can compete with Dr. Magma in this regard, though he does not possess the skill set to overwhelm Dr. Magma outright, something that cannot be said for Dr. Magma, who could easily overwhelm Carvington. So we declare Dr. Magma the winner in terms of power set and martial arts training. In short, Dr. Magma prefers not to wear armor in combat, this being due to his tactics more than a dislike for armor itself. He chooses not to bear armor because he believes it to be an unnecessary means of intimidation which could only hamper speed and mobility, nothing more, nothing less. His only exception to this rule is the respirator mask that allows him to breathe regularly. Without it, Dr. Magma's body would break down in a few minutes. While this may seem to provide an inherent weakness, in reality, Dr. Magma's respirator may appear to act as a more sort of gas mask than anything else. While others are incapacitated from noxious gases and fumes, Dr. Magma is fighting as if nothing happened, his respirator repelling any fumes near him. In short, while he did not prefer to carry heavy amounts of armor with him at any given time, Dr. Magma was not completely defenseless when it comes to armament and weapons.
Commander Carvington was no ordinary helper. He carried a wide assortment of weaponry and armor at any given time. His armor was customized with sonic outburst technology, similar to Zek Bolt's. The armor itself was quite durable, being made primarily of titanium and blue titanium. The armor also had more traditional helper features, such as force fields and targeting systems. On top of that, he also carries multiple laser guns. Typically, he carried 2 of the most common helper pistols and a sniper rifle. Carvington is no slouch when it comes to armor and weapons. In this battle, this category is an easy one, with a much more wide assortment of weapons and armor. Commander Carvington has a clear edge. Having many pieces of equipment in his belt for use in combat gives Carvington a larger advantage over Dr. Magma when it comes to armament and weapons. Thus, we declare Commander Carvington the winner in this category.
Let's set up this fight. Let's say it takes place on a helper command ship. The battle would begin in a stalemate. Both Dr. Magma and Commander Carvington would be hesitant to attack first. Carvington would provoke Dr. Magma, encouraging him to attack. He would do so with caution, as he looks for an opening in Carvington's strategies. Unknown to Dr. Magma, Carvington is making assessments of his own. After a few moments, Carvington would conclude that Dr. Magma's only weakness he could exploit is his respirator. Immediately, Carvington would attempt to dismantle the respirator, using his marksmanship and impeccable accuracy to his advantage. But Dr. Magma is no fool. He would realize this and immediately pull up a smokescreen, though it would have little effect on Carvington. Though on his back foot, Dr. Magma would remain unfazed and rely on the unorthodox methods to off-balance Carvington. With no further weakness to exploit, Carvington would be hard-pressed to keep up with Dr. Magma. And thus, we declare Dr. Magma the leader of H.U.U, the victor.